She defended an old Korean lady from getting humiliated at cafe, not knowing she's Korean mafia boss's mom. The coffee cup hit the floor with a crack that made everyone in the cafe turn and stare. Nia Thompson watched the elderly Korean woman flinch as the blonde influencer standing over her sneered, phone already recording. "This is exactly what I'm talking about," the influencer said to her camera, voice dripping with performative outrage. "These people come to America and can't even speak English properly. She literally just bumped into me and can't even apologize correctly." The old woman, tiny, maybe 70, with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and wearing a traditional hanbok under a modern coat, was trying to apologize in broken English, hands trembling as she bent to pick up the shattered pieces. Around them, the other customers at Brew and Soul Cafe pretended not to notice, eyes glued to laptops and phones, performing the particular cowardice of people who don't want to get involved. Nia's hand tightened on the coffee pot she'd been holding. She'd worked at this cafe in Koreatown for 3 years, smiled through casual racism from customers who called her surprisingly articulate, endured comments about her natural hair being unprofessional, kept her head down and her opinions to herself because she needed this job. Needed the tips that barely covered rent on her studio apartment. Needed the health insurance that came with full-time hours. Needed to stay invisible. But watching this 70-year-old woman being publicly humiliated by some Instagram brat with 2 million followers hit something deep and raw. Nia thought of her own grandmother, who'd raised her after her parents died, who'd worked 3 jobs and never complained, who deserved so much better than what the world gave her. "Excuse me," Nia said, setting down the coffee pot with deliberate care. Her voice was calm, professional, but something in her tone made several customers look up. "Ma'am, is there a problem I can help you with?" The influencer, Madison something, Nia vaguely recognized her from viral videos, turned with practiced outrage. "Yes, actually. This woman crashed into me and ruined my vintage Chanel bag, and she can barely speak English. This is America. If you're going to live here—" "She apologized," Nia interrupted, moving to stand between Madison and the elderly woman. "In English. I heard her. And you're the one who turned around without looking where you were going." Madison's perfectly microbladed eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me? I'm a paying customer." "So is she." Nia gestured to the elderly woman, who was still on her knees, trying to clean up the mess with shaking hands. "Actually, she's been a regular here for 5 years. Comes in every Tuesday and Friday, orders the same green tea and honey cake, tips 20%, and has never once been rude to staff, which is more than I can say for some people." The cafe had gone completely silent. Madison's face flushed red, but her phone was still recording, and Nia could see the calculations happening behind her eyes. The video would go viral either way. Might as well control the narrative. "This is unbelievable," Madison said, voice rising to that particular pitch of white woman victimhood. "I'm being attacked for simply existing." "You're being asked to show basic human decency," Nia cut her off. "Now you can either sit down, finish your overpriced matcha latte, and stop harassing elderly customers, or you can leave. Those are your options." "Do you know who I am?" "Yes, you're Madison Pierce. 2.3 million Instagram followers. Verified on TikTok. Known for calling out service workers and filming it for content." Nia's smile was sharp. "I also know you're currently being sued by 3 different restaurants for defamation, so go ahead and post this. I'd love to be number 4. The bluff worked. Madison's face went from red to pale. She snatched her designer bag, phone still recording, and stormed toward the door. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer," she threw over her shoulder. "Looking forward to it," Nia called back. Then she turned to the elderly woman, who'd finally managed to stand, and switched to the Korean she'd been learning for the past year. Basic phrases picked up from coworkers and regular customers. Accent terrible, but intention clear. "Gwenchanayo? Are you okay?" The woman's eyes widened in surprise, then filled with tears. She reached out and grabbed Nia's hands, squeezing tight, and spoke in rapid Korean that Nia mostly couldn't follow. But she caught the word gomawo, thank you, repeated several times. "It's okay," Nia said in English, gently helping the woman back to her table. "Don't worry about that awful person. Let me get you a fresh tea on the house." As Nia brought over a new pot of green tea and a slice of honey cake, the woman caught her wrist and said in careful English, "You. Very kind. Very brave. What is your name?" "Nia. Nia Thompson." "Nia." The woman smiled, pronouncing it carefully. I am Han Yunji. Thank you, Nia. You have good heart. Nia squeezed her hand gently. It was nothing, Mrs. Han. Anyone would have done the same. But they both knew that wasn't true. Everyone else had looked away. What Nia didn't know, what she couldn't have known as she went back to work, as she served other customers and cleared tables, and pretended her hands weren't shaking from the confrontation, was that Han Eunji had a son who ran the most powerful Korean criminal organization in Los Angeles, a son who was fiercely protective of his mother, a son who was about to walk into Bruin Soul Cafe and change Nia's life forever. Kang Jae-sung arrived at the cafe exactly 17 minutes after his mother called him, which was 14 minutes faster than physically possible given traffic laws. His security team, 3 cars, 8 men, had nearly caused 2 accidents keeping up with him. He strode through the door like he owned the place, which technically he did, though it was buried under 6 layers of shell corporations, and the energy in the room shifted instantly. Several customers suddenly found reasons to leave. The barista behind the counter went pale. Jae-sung was used to this reaction. At 28, he'd spent the last 6 years building a reputation that made grown men nervous. The neck tattoo that crawled up from his collar, a dragon in traditional Korean style, didn't help. Neither did the white shirt rolled to his elbows, revealing more ink on his forearms, or the sharp jawline that tabloids had breathlessly compared to Korean drama stars, or the eyes that could go from warm to lethal in a heartbeat. He spotted his mother immediately, sitting alone at her usual corner table, and his expression softened into something almost boyish. "Iyama," he said, sliding into the chair across from her. "What happened? You said someone bothered you?" Yoonji waved a dismissive hand. "It's handled. There was a rude woman, but one of the workers here defended me. So kind, Jae-sung. So brave." "Who was the rude woman?" His voice dropped to something dangerous. "Give me a name." "Jae-sung, no, it's fine. I told you, the worker handled it. Such a good girl, so respectful." Yoonji's eyes lit up with that particular gleam that Jae-sung had learned to dread. "And pretty. Very pretty. Did I mention pretty?" "Iyama." He recognized the setup immediately. Don't what? I'm just saying she was very kind to your old mother. You should thank her. Maybe take her to dinner. She works so hard, probably doesn't get taken to nice places. I'm not dating anyone right now. You're never dating anyone. You're 28. Do you want me to die without grandchildren? You're 70 and healthy as a horse. You'll outlive us all." But Jae-sung was already scanning the cafe, looking for whoever had helped his mother. His eyes landed on a black woman at the counter, late 20s, with natural hair pulled into a high bun, wearing the cafe's standard black polo and jeans. She was wiping down the espresso machine with focused intensity, and something about the set of her shoulders, proud, defensive, like she was bracing for a fight, made him look twice. "That's her," Yoonji said, following his gaze. "Nia. Such a pretty name, and she tried to speak Korean to me. Her accent was terrible, but so sweet." Jae-sung watched as another customer, a middle-aged white man, snapped his fingers at Nia to get her attention. Watched her smile, that professional service smile that didn't reach her eyes, and take his order. Watched the way the man's gaze traveled down her body in a way that made Jae-sung's jaw clench. "I'll go thank her," he said, standing. Yoonji's smile was knowing. "Yes, you go thank her. Maybe get her phone number while you're at it." "Iyama, just a suggestion." Nia was reaching for a coffee filter when she felt someone approach the counter. She turned with her customer service smile already in place and nearly dropped the filter. The man standing in front of her was possibly the most beautiful human being she'd ever seen in person. Korean, late 20s, wearing a crisp white shirt that emphasized broad shoulders and a lean, powerful build. Sharp jawline that could cut glass. Dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. And a tattoo, a dragon, done in intricate traditional style, that started somewhere beneath his collar and crawled up the right side of his neck. "Hi," she said, recovering her composure. "What can I get for you?" "You helped my mother earlier." His voice was deep, accent barely noticeable but adding an edge to his words. The elderly Korean woman, Han Eunji. Nia's eyes widened. She glanced over at Mrs. Han's table, where the old woman was watching them with undisguised interest and barely suppressed glee. "Oh yes, it was nothing. That influencer was being completely out of line." "It wasn't nothing." He leaned against the counter, and Nia caught a hint of expensive cologne. Most people would have looked away. You didn't. I wanted to thank you. Really, it's fine. Mrs. Han is a regular. We take care of our regulars here. Nia was acutely aware that her co-worker, Jamie, was staring at them from the back. That several customers were watching this interaction with open curiosity. That this man's presence had somehow made the entire cafe hold its breath. Still, he pulled out a wallet, leather, expensive, and extracted several bills. $300. For your trouble. Nia stared at the money, then back at him. I can't accept that. I was just doing my job. Your job is to serve coffee, not to defend elderly Korean women from racist influencers. My job is to make sure all customers are treated with respect. That includes Mrs. Han. Nia pushed the money back across the counter. But thank you. The gesture is appreciated. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or respect. He pocketed the money, then extended his hand. Kang Jae-sung. Nia Thompson. His hand was warm, grip firm but not crushing. The handshake lasted a beat longer than necessary, and Nia felt heat creep up her neck. Can I buy you coffee, Nia Thompson, after your shift? The question caught her completely off guard. What? Coffee, dinner, lunch. Whatever you prefer. To thank you properly for helping my mother. That's really not necessary. I know it's not necessary, I want to. His eyes held hers, intense and direct. Unless you're seeing someone? Nia's last relationship had ended 8 months ago when her ex, Marcus, had decided he wanted to explore other options, which turned out to mean his coworker, Brittany. Since then, she'd thrown herself into work, picked up extra shifts, convinced herself she was perfectly happy alone. But this man, Jae-sung, was looking at her like she was the only person in the room, like her answer actually mattered, like she was someone worth taking to dinner. I'm not seeing anyone, she heard herself say, but I get off at 6, and I'm covered in coffee and probably smell like espresso grounds. 6 works, and I like the smell of coffee. His smile was slight but genuine. I'll pick you up here? Okay, yes, sure. Nia was acutely aware that she sounded like an idiot, but coherent sentences seemed to have abandoned her. Jae-sung nodded, then returned to his mother's table. Nia watched as Yoonji immediately grabbed his hand, speaking rapidly in Korean, her expression delighted. Jae-sung responded in Korean, but his eyes found Nia's across the cafe, and the look he gave her made her stomach flip. Jamie appeared at Nia's elbow the moment Jae-sung left with his mother. Girl, what the hell just happened? Did Kang Jae-sung just ask you out? You know him. Everyone in Koreatown knows him, or knows of him. Nia, that man is dangerous. Like, actual criminal, dangerous. Nia's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Jamie lowered her voice, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. The Kang family runs like half the Korean businesses in LA. Officially, they're import-export and real estate. Unofficially, they're the Korean Mafia. Protection rackets, underground gambling, smuggling. Jae-sung took over from his father 6 years ago, and he's supposedly even more ruthless. You're joking. I wish I was. My cousin's boyfriend works at one of their legitimate businesses. Says Jae-sung is fair but terrifying. Cross him and you disappear. Help his family and he's loyal for life. Jamie paused. Which I guess explains why he just asked you out. You helped his mom. That's like the golden ticket into his good graces. Nia's mind was reeling. The beautiful man with the neck tattoo was a mobster, an actual criminal, and she'd just agreed to go to dinner with him. I should cancel, she said. Are you insane? You can't cancel on Kang Jae-sung. That's probably how people end up missing. So what? I just go? Have dinner with a criminal and hope he doesn't murder me? Jamie bit her lip. I mean, he did just thank you for helping his mom, and he's gorgeous, and rich, and probably won't murder you on a first date. That's more like third date behavior. That's not funny. I'm not entirely joking. Jamie squeezed Nia's shoulder. Look, be careful. But also, that man looked at you like you hung the moon. I've worked here 3 years, and I've seen him come in dozens of times to visit his mom. He's never looked at anyone like that. Nia spent the rest of her shift alternating between excitement and terror. She cleaned tables mechanically, mind spinning with possibilities. Maybe Jamie was exaggerating. Maybe Jae-sung was just a normal businessman with unfortunate family connections. Maybe she was overthinking this. At 5:45, she locked herself in the cafe bathroom and tried to make herself presentable. Changed out of her coffee-stained work polo into the spare black t-shirt she kept in her bag. Let her hair down from its bun, finger combing her curls into something resembling style. Put on lip gloss and mascara with shaking hands. When she emerged, Jamie whistled. Okay, girl, I see you. If he does turn out to be a murderer, at least you'll be a cute corpse. Still not funny. Still not entirely joking. At exactly 6 o'clock, a black Mercedes pulled up outside the cafe. Jae-sung stepped out, and Nia's breath caught. He changed into dark slacks and a black Henley that somehow made him look even more dangerous. The dragon tattoo on his neck seemed to shimmer in the streetlights. He opened the passenger door for her, the gesture almost old-fashioned. You look beautiful, he said simply. Thank you. You look dangerous, criminal, like every bad decision I've ever been tempted to make. Nice. The car interior smelled like leather and that expensive cologne. Nia buckled her seatbelt with trembling fingers, hyper-aware of Jae-sung's presence beside her. The way he drove with casual confidence, one hand on the wheel, the flex of muscles in his forearm, the dragon tattoo that disappeared beneath his collar, making her wonder where else he was inked. Where are we going? She asked. There's a restaurant in Little Tokyo, Korean-Japanese fusion. Best food in LA, completely private. I thought you might prefer somewhere we won't be interrupted. The implication that he was someone who got interrupted, recognized, bothered, hung in the air. Nia decided to address it head-on. My coworker told me who you are, what you do. Jae-sung's hands tightened almost imperceptibly on the steering wheel. And you came anyway. I'm either very brave or very stupid. Haven't decided which yet. He glanced at her, a slight smile playing at his lips. Most people are too scared to even mention it. They pretend they don't know, hope I don't notice them noticing. I'm not most people. No. His eyes returned to the road. You're not. You stood up to that influencer when everyone else was too afraid of going viral. You defended my mother when you had nothing to gain and potentially a lot to lose. So no, Nia Thompson, you're definitely not most people. They drove in silence for a few minutes, the city sliding past outside. Finally, Nia asked, Is it true, what Jamie said? About your family business? Yes. No hesitation, no sugarcoating. My family has been involved in organized crime for 3 generations. My grandfather came to Los Angeles with nothing and built an empire through any means necessary. My father expanded it, and when he was killed 6 years ago, I took over. So yes, everything your coworker told you is probably true. Why are you telling me this? Why be honest? Because you asked directly, because I'm tired of pretending, and because he pulled into a parking garage, killed the engine, turned to face her fully. Because from the moment I saw you defend my mother, I knew you were someone special, someone worth being honest with. And if that honesty scares you away, better to know now than later. Nia should have been terrified, should have asked him to take her home immediately. Instead, she found herself saying, I'm not scared. I should be, but I'm not. You should be. His voice was soft, almost sad. I'm a dangerous man, Nia. People get hurt just by being associated with me. But God help me, I want to know you anyway. They sat in the parking garage, streetlights casting shadows across Jae-sung's face, highlighting the sharp planes and angles. Nia could see the tiredness in his eyes, the weight he carried, the loneliness beneath the power. Let's go eat, she said finally, and you can tell me more about this dangerous life of yours. Fair warning, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. His smile was genuine this time, transforming his severe features into something almost warm. I wouldn't expect anything less. The restaurant was small, intimate, tucked away in a basement with paper lanterns and low tables. The owner greeted Jae-sung in Japanese, bowing deeply, then led them to a private room in the back with sliding doors and cushions on the floor. I should warn you, Jae-sung said as they settled across from each other. My mother is probably already planning our wedding. She's been trying to set me up for years, and you're the first woman I've shown any interest in. Nia laughed, some of the tension breaking. We've known each other for 3 hours. In her mind, that's plenty of time. She'll probably ask about grandchildren by our 3rd date. Bold of you to assume there'll be a 3rd date. Bold of you to assume I'll let you get away after just one. He said it lightly, but something in his eyes was completely serious. Food arrived in waves, Sashimi, Korean BBQ, tempura vegetables, dishes Nia couldn't name but tasted incredible. Jae-sung ordered in fluent Japanese, then switched to Korean when calling his mother to tell her he wouldn't be by later. Nia found herself fascinated by the way he code switched, the different languages revealing different facets of his personality. "Tell me about you," he said, pouring her sake. "Not the cafe waitress, the real you. What makes you think there's a difference?" "Because I've seen you with customers. You're good at it, but it's performance. Just like my business persona is performance. So who is Nia Thompson when she's not serving coffee?" No one had asked her that in years. Nia took a sip of sake, considering. "I'm an artist. Was an artist. I went to UCLA on scholarship for graphic design, but I had to drop out junior year when my grandmother got sick. Took care of her for 2 years before she died, and by then I had too much debt to go back." "You gave up your dream to take care of family." "It wasn't a question." "That's honorable." "It was necessary. She raised me after my parents died. I couldn't just abandon her." Nia paused. "But yeah, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd finished. If I'd gotten my degree, worked at some design firm, actually used my brain instead of just my hands." "You could go back, finish your degree." "With what money? I can barely afford rent." "I could—" "No," Nia cut him off firmly. "I don't need saving. Don't need some rich guy to swoop in and fix my problems. I'm doing fine on my own." Jae-sung held up his hands. "I wasn't trying to save you, just offering resources if you wanted them. But I respect that you don't." They ate in silence for a moment. Then Nia asked, "Your turn. Who is Kang Jae-sung when he's not running criminal enterprises?" He seemed surprised by the question. "No one asked me that." "I'm asking." He set down his chopsticks, thinking. "I collect art, spend hours in galleries looking at paintings I don't fully understand, but that make me feel something. I read philosophy, Nietzsche mostly, which is probably cliché for someone in my position. I visit my mother every Tuesday and Friday, sit with her while she drinks tea and tells me about her week. And sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I drive to the beach and just sit, watch the ocean, remember what it feels like to be just a person, not a position." The vulnerability in his words made Nia's chest ache. "That sounds lonely." "It is." His eyes found hers. "But tonight, for the first time in years, I don't feel lonely. I feel seen. You look at me like I'm just a man, not a threat or an opportunity. Do you know how rare that is? I look at you like you're a man who bought me dinner and told me the truth about who he is. That's all I can see right now." Nia leaned forward. "But Jae-sung, I need you to be real with me. What are you looking for here? Because if this is just some thank you for helping your mom, it's not." He reached across the table, fingertips brushing hers. "I saw you defend her, and something clicked. Like recognizing someone I'd been looking for without knowing I was searching. And then I talked to you, and you were funny and real and didn't treat me like I was dangerous. You are dangerous, but you're not afraid. And that's—" He shook his head. "I don't know what this is, but I want to find out, if you'll let me." Nia looked at their hands almost but not quite touching on the table. Thought about her small, safe life, her studio apartment and cat, her shifts at the cafe and nights alone, the careful routine she'd built after Marcus, designed to prevent pain by preventing feeling. And then she thought about the way Jae-sung had thanked her for defending his mother, the honesty in his voice when he told her about his family business, the loneliness she recognized because she felt it too. "Okay," she said, "let's find out together." His smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. He turned his hand over, and she laced her fingers through his, the connection sending warmth flooding through her. They talked for hours, about art and philosophy and family obligations, about the weight of expectations and the price of loyalty, about dreams deferred and roads not taken. The conversation flowed easily, naturally, like they'd known each other for years instead of hours. When they finally left the restaurant, it was past midnight. Jae-sung drove her home slowly, like he was reluctant for the night to end. He parked outside her building, a modest apartment complex in mid-city, nowhere near as fancy as she imagined he was used to, and walked her to her door. "Thank you for tonight," Nia said, suddenly shy, "for dinner and honesty and all of it. Thank you for giving me a chance." He reached up, tucking a curl behind her ear. The gesture was tender, intimate. "Can I see you again?" "Yes, but Jae-sung, I need to be clear about something. I'm not interested in being your secret or your side piece or whatever arrangement powerful men usually have with women like me. Women like you. Black women, working class women, women who don't fit into your world. His expression hardened. First, there's no arrangement. I don't do casual. When I commit to someone, I'm all in. Second, you fit into any world you want because you're exceptional. And third, anyone who has a problem with you is welcome to take it up with me. The possessive declaration should have been a red flag. Instead, it made Nia's pulse race. Okay then, you can see me again. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his lips brushed hers. Soft, questioning, a promise of more. The kiss was brief but electric, leaving Nia breathless and wanting. Good night, Nia Thompson, he murmured against her lips. Good night, Kang Ji-sung. She watched him drive away, then floated up to her apartment in a daze. Her cat, Duchess, wound around her ankles, meowing indignantly about delayed dinner. Nia fed her absently, mind still caught on the taste of Jae-sung's lips, the feel of his hand in hers, the way he'd looked at her like she was precious. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Made it home. Already missing you. JJS Nia smiled, saving the number immediately, then texted back. Smooth. Very smooth. But I'm not that easy. NT. The response was immediate. Good. I don't want easy. I want you. Sleep well. Nia fell asleep with her phone clutched in her hand, smiling like an idiot, completely unaware that falling for Kang Jae-sung would be the most dangerous and beautiful thing she'd ever do. The next morning, Nia woke to 17 texts from Jamie, all variations of, girl, you better call me, and are you alive? She called while making coffee. Oh my God, you're not dead, Jamie answered immediately. Good morning to you too. Don't good morning me. How did it go? What happened? Did he propose? Did he kill anyone? Give me details. Nia laughed, settling onto her threadbare couch. We had dinner, talked. He was amazing, Jamie. Like genuinely interesting and sweet and honest about everything. Including the crime stuff? Especially the crime stuff. He didn't try to hide it or make excuses. Just told me the truth. And you're okay with that? With dating someone who's literally in the Mafia? Nia had been asking herself the same question all night. I don't know. Maybe. He's not pushing drugs or hurting innocent people. It's more like protection businesses, underground gambling, stuff that would probably happen anyway, just less organized. That's some impressive rationalization. I know it's crazy. But Jamie, when I'm with him, I feel seen. Like he actually cares about who I am, not just what I look like or how I make him feel. That's because you defended his mom. You're in the golden circle now. Maybe, but it felt real. He felt real. Jamie sighed. Okay, I trust your judgment. But Nia, please be careful. Men like that, they live in a different world. They have enemies and secrets and… Someone knocked on Nia's door. Heavy, authoritative. The kind of knock that made her stomach drop. Hold on, someone's at my door. She looked through the peephole and her blood ran cold. Two men in suits, both Korean, both wearing expressions that screamed security or enforcer. One of them held a large box. Jamie, I'm going to call you back. Why? What's wrong? Nia… She hung up and slowly opened the door. Can I help you? The man with the box bowed slightly. Miss Thompson, we're from Mr. Kang. He asked us to deliver this and ensure you're safe. Ensure I'm safe? What does that mean? We'll be providing security for you. Mr. Kang's orders. This is a precautionary measure. Nia's hands clenched. He sent bodyguards? Without asking me? He was concerned for your safety after last night. Several people saw you leave with him. In our world, that makes you a target. The casual way he said target made Nia's stomach turn. I didn't ask for this. Nevertheless, these are Mr. Kang's wishes. We'll be stationed outside your building. You won't even know we're here unless necessary. He offered her the box. This is for you. Against her better judgment, Nia took the box. Inside was a phone, top of the line, clearly expensive, with a note in neat handwriting. Your old phone is a security risk. This one is encrypted and has my private number. Sorry for the presumption, but I'd never forgive myself if something happened to you because of me. JJS Nia thanked the men stiffly and closed the door, staring at the phone in her hands. Part of her was furious. Who did he think he was, assigning her bodyguards and buying her phones without permission? But another part, the part that remembered Jamie's warnings about enemies in danger, was reluctantly grateful. The new phone buzzed. Jae-sung's number was already programmed in. I know you're probably angry. I should have asked first. But Nia, people saw us together. That makes you valuable leverage. Please, just accept the security until things settle. For my peace of mind, if nothing else. Nia typed furiously, you can't just make decisions about my life without consulting me. I'm not some damsel who needs protecting. His response was immediate. You're right, I apologize. I'm not used to having someone I care about who isn't already part of this world. I'm trying to keep you safe, but I'm doing it wrong. Can we talk about this? Please? She wanted to stay angry, should have stayed angry, but the genuine remorse in his message, the admission that he was fumbling this, softened her. Fine, we can talk. But Jae-sung, if we're doing this, you need to treat me like an equal, not some fragile thing to protect. Deal. Are you working today? Evening shift, 2 to 10. I'll pick you up after. We'll talk properly. And Nia, thank you for giving me another chance. The shift at Bruin's Soul was torture. Every customer felt like they were staring at her, judging her, knowing somehow that she'd crossed into a world she didn't fully understand. And maybe they did know. Madison's video from yesterday had gone viral, currently sitting at 3.2 million views with thousands of comments. Most were supportive. That waitress is a queen. Defending that elderly woman like a boss? Give her a raise. But there were others, uglier. Of course, the black girl has an attitude. She probably staged it for attention. Another example of reverse racism. And buried in the comments, one that made Nia's blood run cold. That's Bruin's Soul in Koreatown. And isn't that Han Eunji she's defending? Kang Jae-sung's mother? Interesting. Jamie caught her staring at her phone. You've been checking that video all day. Just ignore it. Internet outrage moves fast. They'll forget by next week. It's not the outrage I'm worried about. Nia showed her the comment. People know it was Mrs. Han. They're connecting me to Jae-sung. Jamie's face went pale. Shit. Nia, that's not good. If rivals know you're connected to him, the bodyguards make more sense now. As if summoned, Nia spotted one of the men from this morning, sitting at a corner table, nursing a coffee and watching the entrance with professional alertness. He'd been there since her shift started, a silent shadow she couldn't ignore. At 10:15, Jae-sung pulled up outside, and Nia felt the now familiar flutter in her stomach. He dressed down, jeans and a black t-shirt that showed off his build, but somehow looked more dangerous than he had in nice clothes. The tattoos on his arms were fully visible now, intricate designs in Korean and Japanese traditional styles. We need to talk, Nia said as soon as she slid into the passenger seat. I know, and I know you're angry about the security, but Nia, that video went viral. People have connected you to my mother, which means they've connected you to me. There are organizations that would love to hurt me by hurting someone I care about. So this is real. The danger. Yes. He gripped the steering wheel. And I'm sorry. I should have thought about this before asking you to dinner, before putting you in this position. If you want out, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected until interest dies down. Then you can go back to your life. Nia studied his profile, the sharp jawline, the tense set of his shoulders, the way his knuckles had gone white on the wheel. And if I don't want out, he turned to look at her, eyes vulnerable in a way that made her chest ache. Then I teach you how to live in my world. Self-defense, security protocols, recognizing threats. I introduce you to my people so they know you're protected, and I do everything in my power to keep you safe while still respecting your independence. That's a lot for a second date. I know, but I'd rather be honest about what this means than hide the reality until it's too late. Nia thought about her safe, boring life, the routine that had kept her numb for 8 months since Marcus, the careful walls she'd built to prevent exactly this kind of complication. And then she thought about how alive she felt when Jae-sung looked at her. How seen, how valued. Okay, she said, teach me, show me your world. But Jae-sung, I need you to be patient with me. I'm not built for this kind of danger. I'm going to be scared and probably make mistakes. I'll be patient. I promise. He reached over, taking her hand. And Nia, being scared is smart. It's the people who aren't scared that end up dead. They drove to his penthouse, a massive space in downtown LA with floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist decor that screamed money. But what caught Nia's attention was the art. Original pieces covering every wall, some she recognized from galleries she'd visited as a student. You weren't kidding about collecting art, she breathed, moving toward a stunning abstract piece that played with light and shadow. That's a Park Seobo from his Écriture series, 1970s. Jae Sung came to stand beside her. My father bought it the year I was born. Said it reminded him of the discipline required to build something lasting. Nia studied the piece. Careful, repetitive pencil marks creating texture and depth. It's about process, not just the final product, but the work of getting there. Exactly, he sounded pleased. Most people just see a bunch of lines. You see the intention behind it. They move through his collection, Korean artists, Japanese prints, some American works that spoke to his eclectic taste. Nia found herself relaxing, the conversation flowing easily as they discussed composition and meaning and the stories behind each piece. You should be working in art, Jae Sung said eventually. Your eye is too good to waste serving coffee. We can't all have criminal empires funding our dreams. No, but you could have me funding yours. He held up a hand before she could protest. Not charity, investment. You finish your degree, I give you seed money to start a design business. You pay me back with interest once you're successful. Purely transactional. Why would you do that? Because you defended my mother when no one else would. Because you're talented and deserve a chance. And selfishly, because I want to be part of your success story. Nia wanted to refuse on principle, but the offer was tempting, more than tempting. It was everything she'd given up hope of having. Can I think about it? Of course, no pressure. He gestured to the couch. Now let's talk about keeping you safe. First rule, always be aware of your surroundings. Notice who's watching you, who's too interested. Your bodyguards, Minho and Tae-jin, will handle threats, but you need to spot them first. They spent the next hour going over basic security protocols, how to recognize when she was being followed, what to do if approached by someone suspicious, emergency numbers and safe locations throughout the city. It was overwhelming and terrifying and strangely intimate. This glimpse into a world most people only saw in movies. This is insane, Nia said finally. 2 days ago, I was a waitress worrying about tips. Now I'm learning counter-surveillance techniques from a mob boss. Welcome to my life. He pulled her close, and Nia went willingly, resting her head against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, steady and strong. I know it's a lot, but Nia, I meant what I said. I'm all in. If you want this, want me, I'll do whatever it takes to make it work. I want this, she whispered, even though it's crazy, even though I should run. I want this. He tilted her chin up, and this kiss was different from the first, deeper, more urgent, filled with promise and possession. Nia melted into him, hands fisting in his shirt, and for a moment nothing else mattered. Not the danger, not the complications, just this connection that felt inevitable. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jae Sung rested his forehead against hers. Stay tonight. Not for sex, he added quickly. Just stay. Let me hold you. Let me pretend for one night that the world isn't dangerous and we're just two people falling for each other. Okay, Nia said. I'll stay. They lay together on his enormous bed, fully clothed, talking until dawn. About childhoods and dreams and the weight of family expectations. About his father's death. A car bomb meant for someone else that killed him instantly. About her parents' accident when she was 8, the drunk driver who'd stolen her whole family in one moment of carelessness. We're both orphans, Jae Sung said softly. Both carrying ghosts. Maybe that's why this works. We understand loss. Or maybe it works because you look at me and see a man, not a monster, and I look at you and see home. Nia's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever said anything like that to her. Marcus had loved her, but it was always conditional. Love if she was easier, quieter, less complicated. Jae Sung loved her as she was, complicated and strong and scared and brave all at once. They fell asleep tangled together, and Nia dreamed of paintings and dragons and a future that felt both impossible and inevitable. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of coffee shifts and stolen moments with Jae Sung. He was careful about their public appearances, always mindful of security, but private he was different, tender, playful. He taught her Korean phrases, took her to galleries, introduced her to his world piece by careful piece. Mrs. Han became a regular fixture in their relationship, appearing at dinners with knowing smiles and increasingly unsubtle hints about grandchildren. Nia adored her, the way she fussed over Jae Sung, the stories she told about his childhood, the warmth she showed Nia from day one. She's already planning our wedding, Nia told Shanice during their weekly brunch. Showed me pictures of handbox styles she likes. Shanice, who'd been skeptical at first, had slowly come around after meeting Jae Sung. Girl, if I had a man who looked at me the way he looks at you, I'd marry him too. Just maybe run a background check first. Too late for that. I'm already in love with him. The words hung in the air. Nia hadn't meant to say them out loud, hadn't fully admitted it to herself. But it was true. Somewhere between defending his mother and learning about his art collection and falling asleep in his arms, she'd fallen completely, irrevocably in love. Does he know? I haven't told him. It feels too soon. Honey, you're already learning security protocols and meeting his mother. I think you're past too soon. That night, Nia planned to tell him. She'd come to his penthouse after her shift, wearing a dress she'd bought with her last paycheck. Nothing fancy, but it made her feel beautiful. She had a whole speech prepared. But when she arrived, Jae Sung was on the phone, speaking rapid Korean, his expression thunderous. He saw her and his face softened slightly, but the tension remained. He held up a finger, 1 minute, and continued his conversation. Nia waited, stomach sinking. Something was wrong. She could see it in the set of his shoulders, the sharp edge to his voice. When he finally hung up, he looked exhausted. What's wrong? She asked. There's a situation. A rival organization is pushing into our territory, targeting our businesses. They hit one of our warehouses tonight, stole product, hurt 3 of my men. Oh God, are they okay? They will be. But Nia, this is escalating. These people, they don't play by rules. They see an opening and they take it. And right now, you're an opening. Ice flooded her veins. What does that mean? It means they know about you, know that you matter to me, and they might try to use that. He crossed to her, taking her hands. I need you to be extra careful. Don't deviate from your routine. Don't go anywhere without Minho and Taijin. And if anything feels wrong, call me immediately. You're scaring me. Good. Fear will keep you alert. He pulled her close. I won't let them hurt you, I promise. But I need you to be smart. The speech Nia had prepared died in her throat. This wasn't the time for love confessions. This was survival. She stayed that night, but the mood was different. Tense. Jae Sung spent hours on the phone, coordinating responses, moving pieces on a chessboard she couldn't see. Nia lay in his bed alone, listening to him speak in Korean in the next room, and wondered what she'd really gotten herself into. The attack came 3 days later. Nia was at the cafe, working the morning shift, when Minho suddenly appeared at her side. We need to leave. Now. What? Why? No time to explain. Come with me. His hand was on his jacket, where Nia knew he kept a gun. Her heart started racing. They were halfway to the door when it exploded inward. Glass and wood shrapnel flew everywhere. Nia felt herself thrown to the ground, Minho's body covering hers. Screaming. Gunshots. The smell of smoke and blood. And then strong hands were pulling her up, dragging her toward the back exit. Not Minho's hands. Someone else's. She tried to fight, to scream, but a cloth covered her mouth and nose, chemical smelling, and the world went gray around the edges. The last thing she saw before consciousness faded completely was Minho on the ground, blood pooling around him, and the certainty that she was going to die. Nia woke to darkness and pain. Her head throbbed. Her wrists were bound behind her back. She was sitting in a chair in what felt like a basement, cold, damp, the smell of mold and decay. She's awake. A man's voice, Korean accented, came from somewhere to her left. Lights blazed on, blinding. When Nia's eyes adjusted, she saw 3 men watching her. 2 young, maybe mid-20s, holding guns. The third older, 50s, with a scar running from his ear to his jaw. Miss Thompson, the scarred man said in careful English. Welcome. I apologize for the rough treatment, but Mr. Kang left us no choice. Where am I? What do you want? You're somewhere your boyfriend will never find you, and what we want is simple. Leverage. Mr. Kang has something that belongs to us. Territory, resources, respect. You're going to help us get it back. Nia's mind raced. He'll kill you, all of you. You know that, right? He'll try, but first he'll give us what we want. Because the alternative is watching you die very slowly, very painfully, on video. The man smiled, and it was worse than any threat. We've already started uploading. Your boyfriend is watching right now. Horror crashed over Nia. Jae Sung was watching this, watching her tied up, helpless, in danger because of him. She thought about their last conversation, how she hadn't told him she loved him, and tears started flowing. Don't cry, the scarred man said mockingly. Save your tears. You'll need them later. One of the younger men approached with a phone, showing her the screen. A live stream, her face terrified, tied to a chair. And in the comments, thousands of messages flooding in, some gleeful, some horrified, and one repeated over and over from different accounts. We're coming. Hold on. Jae Sung. He was watching, and he was coming. The wait was agony. The men kept the camera running, occasionally asking Nia questions designed to humiliate. Where she'd met Jae Sung, whether the sex was good, if she really thought a black woman could matter to someone like him. She stayed silent, refusing to give them the satisfaction. After what felt like hours but was probably 30 minutes, the scarred man's phone rang. He answered in Korean, listened, then smiled that horrible smile again. Your boyfriend wants to negotiate. How sweet. He put the phone on speaker, and Jae Sung's voice filled the basement. Let me talk to her. Of course, say hello, Miss Thompson. Jae Sung, Nia's voice cracked. I'm okay. Don't give them anything. I'm going to get you out, Jae Sung interrupted, his voice steady despite the rage he could hear underneath. Just hold on. Be brave. I'm coming. How touching, the scarred man said. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer control of the 8th Street territory, the port operations, and $3 million to accounts I specify. You have 2 hours. If you involve police, she dies. If you try to find us, she dies. If you're 1 minute late, she dies. Understand? A pause, then, I understand. But hear this, Park Dae-jung. When I get her back, and I will get her back, I'm going to kill you slowly. I'm going to make you beg for death, and then I'm going to erase your entire organization from existence. That's not a threat. It's a promise. Park Dae-jung laughed, but it sounded forced. Big words from a man who's about to lose everything he's built. 2 hours, Kang. Clock's ticking. He hung up and the basement fell silent except for Nia's racing heartbeat. The 2 hours crawled by. The men watched her, making comments in Korean that she was glad she couldn't fully understand. She focused on breathing, on staying calm, on trusting that Jae Sung would figure something out. 15 minutes before the deadline, Park Dae-jung's phone buzzed. He checked it, smiled. Your boyfriend is very punctual. First transfer just hit. He really does care about you. Nia felt sick. Jae Sung was giving up everything for her. Everything his father and grandfather had built. Everything he'd fought to maintain. All because some waitress had defended his mother in a cafe. Another buzz. Second transfer. Very good. And then the lights went out. Complete darkness. Gunshots. Different from before, coming from outside. Shouting in Korean. The sound of something heavy hitting the door. Lockdown, Park Dae-jung shouted. Get the girl! Move her! The door exploded inward. Flashbangs went off, the noise and light disorienting even in Nia's already compromised state. And then through the chaos, she heard his voice. Nia! Here, I'm here! Strong hands found her in the darkness, cutting her bonds. She recognized his touch immediately, his scent, the way he moved. Got you, Jae Sung murmured. I got you. Hold on to me. He lifted her like she weighed nothing, moving through the basement with sure steps despite the darkness. Around them, she could hear fighting, gunshots, bodies hitting walls, screams. Jae Sung's men clearing the building with brutal efficiency. Outside, fresh air hit Nia's face like a blessing. Jae Sung carried her to a waiting SUV, settling her in the back seat before pulling away with screeching tires. Only then, when they were blocks away, did he finally look at her. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? No, I'm okay. Scared, but okay. Nia's hands were shaking so badly she couldn't control them. How did you find me? Traced the live stream signal. Called in every favor I had. And your bodyguard, Min Ho, he managed to tag you with a GPS tracker before they took you. He saved your life even while dying. He's dead? Jae Sung's jaw clenched. Yes, him and 2 others. Tae-jin barely made it. Guilt crashed over Nia. This is my fault. They died because of me. No, He gripped her chin gently, forcing her to look at him. They died doing their jobs, protecting what's precious to our family. And Nia, you are precious. To me, to my mother, to everyone who matters. This wasn't your fault. It was Park Dae-jung's. And he's going to pay for it. The transfers. You gave them everything. I gave them traceable accounts that my people are already freezing. They won't see a cent. But they made the mistake of their lives when they took you. They drove to a safe house in the hills, not his penthouse, somewhere more secure. Jae-sung carried her inside, past armed guards and into a bedroom where he finally set her down on the bed. I need to go back out, he said quietly. Finish this. Make sure they can never threaten you again. But Nia, I need to know you'll be okay here, that you'll wait for me. She grabbed his shirt, pulling him down to her. Don't go. Please, stay with me. Just for tonight, stay. I have to. You have to nothing. Your men can handle it. Stay with me. I almost died today. I need you here. Her voice broke. Please. Something in his expression cracked. He pulled out his phone, made 3 quick calls in Korean, then kicked off his shoes and lay down beside her, pulling her into his arms. I thought I lost you, he whispered into her hair. When I saw that live stream, saw you tied up and scared, I felt something I've never felt before. Pure terror. The thought of existing in a world without you in it. I'm here, I'm okay. Nia held him tight. And Jae-sung, I need to tell you something. Something I should have said days ago. What? I love you. I'm completely, terrifyingly in love with you. And not because you saved me, or because you're powerful or rich. Because of who you are when we're alone. Because you see me. Because you make me feel like I matter. He pulled back to look at her, eyes shining with emotion. I love you too. From the moment you defended my mother, I knew you were extraordinary. And every day since has only proved it. You're brave and brilliant and beautiful. And I don't deserve you, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to. They kissed, desperate, hungry, pouring 3 weeks of tension and today's terror into the connection. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jae-sung signed, "Marry me." Nia laughed, slightly hysterical. Are you seriously proposing right now? After I was just kidnapped? Yes, because life is short and dangerous, and I almost lost you before I could make you mine officially. So marry me, Nia Thompson. Let me spend every day proving I'm worthy of you. You're insane. That's not an answer. Yes, you absolute lunatic. I'll marry you. His smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. He kissed her again, softer this time, a promise sealed with lips and breath, and the certainty that they'd found something worth fighting for. The war that followed was brief but brutal. Jae-sung's organization moved through Park Dae-jung's operation like a scalpel, precise and merciless. Within 48 hours, Park himself was dead, shot while trying to flee to Korea, and his entire infrastructure was dismantled. The message was clear: attack the Kang family and you'd be erased from existence. But the cost was high. 4 men dead, including Minho, 7 seriously injured, and Nia, who couldn't shake the feeling that she'd brought this violence into Jae-sung's life just by existing. I should leave, she told him one night, 3 days after the kidnapping. They were in his penthouse. She'd refused to go home, too scared to be alone. Go somewhere else, change my name. This will keep happening as long as I'm with you. No. Jae-sung pulled her onto his lap. You're not leaving. We're not doing this alone anymore. We're doing it together. People died because of me. People died because Park Dae-jung was a greedy bastard who thought he could take what wasn't his. You didn't pull a trigger, Nia. You didn't ask for this. You just had the misfortune of falling in love with a man who lives in a violent world. Then maybe I shouldn't have fallen. He cupped her face gently. If you want out, I'll let you go. I'll make sure you're protected and safe, and set up somewhere far from all this. But Nia, don't leave because you think you're a burden. Leave only if you don't love me enough to stay. Nia looked into his eyes, dark and intense and full of desperate hope, and knew she couldn't walk away even if she wanted to. This man, dangerous and complicated and absolutely devoted, was hers, and she was his, for better or worse. I'm not leaving, she said, but Jae-sung, things have to change. I can't just be your girlfriend, waiting at home while you wage war. If I'm in this world, I need to understand it, really understand it. No more protecting me from the truth. Deal. Starting tomorrow, you meet everyone. Learn the business, legitimate and otherwise. Become part of the family officially. Your mother is going to be thrilled, he laughed. She's already planning the wedding. Showed me venue options this morning. The next 6 months were a crash course in organized crime and Korean culture. Nia met Jae-sung's entire organization, the legitimate businessmen and the dangerous enforcers. Learned to recognize hierarchy and respect. Started taking Korean lessons seriously, determined to speak her future mother-in-law's language fluently. She also went back to school. Jae-sung had insisted, and this time Nia didn't refuse. UCLA readmitted her with open arms, and she threw herself into finishing her degree with manic focus. Turned out having a mob boss fiancé, who was also a patron of the arts, opened doors. By graduation, she already had 3 gallery shows lined up. The wedding was everything Mrs. Han had dreamed of. Traditional Korean ceremony in the morning, Western celebration in the evening. 200 guests, mostly Jae-sung's business associates and Nia's small circle of friends and extended family. Shanice as maid of honor, crying through her entire toast about watching my girl go from defending old ladies to marrying into the Korean Mafia. When Nia walked down the aisle in a hanbok, red and gold, traditional and stunning, she saw Jae-sung's eyes fill with tears. This man who'd killed for her, who'd waged war to protect her, was crying because she looked beautiful. I love you, he signed as she reached him. He'd learned ASL for her, a surprise for the wedding. You are my everything. The ceremony was conducted in both Korean and English, honoring both their heritages. And when they kissed as husband and wife, the entire room erupted in applause that Nia felt rather than heard. Vibrations of joy and celebration, and family accepting her fully. 2 years later, Nia stood in her studio, a gorgeous, converted warehouse space that Jae-sung had bought and renovated specifically for her work, putting finishing touches on a piece for her 5th gallery show. This one was special. Large-scale portraits of Korean grandmothers, inspired by Mrs. Han, celebrating the strength and dignity of immigrant women who'd built new lives in impossible circumstances. Arms wrapped around her waist from behind, and she felt Jae-sung's lips on her neck. Still working? You've been here since 6. The show opens in 3 days. I need these perfect. They're already perfect. You're always perfect. He turned her to face him. Come home, have dinner with me and Iyama. She made japshi. Is that code for come hear more hints about grandchildren? He laughed. Probably. She's gotten more aggressive since we hit our 2nd anniversary. Apparently, 2 years is the maximum waiting period before grandchildren are mandatory. Nia leaned into him, breathing in his familiar scent. What if I told you we don't have to wait much longer? She felt him tense. Nia, are you saying I'm pregnant? 8 weeks. I found out yesterday. He pulled back, eyes wide, and then a smile broke across his face so brilliant it took her breath away. We're having a baby? We're having a baby. He picked her up and spun her around, laughing with pure joy. Iyama is going to lose her mind. She's going to buy out every Korean baby store in LA. Probably. Are you happy? I know we hadn't really discussed timing. Happy? Nia, I'm ecstatic. Terrified, but ecstatic. We're going to be parents. They stood in her studio, surrounded by portraits of strong women who'd survived impossible things. And Nia thought about her journey. From the waitress defending an old lady, to the wife of a powerful man, the artist with her own gallery shows, the woman who'd learned to live in a dangerous world without losing herself. I love you, she said. Even though you're a criminal and you got me kidnapped, and your mother won't stop asking about grandchildren. I love you too, he signed and spoke simultaneously. My brave, brilliant, beautiful wife who defended my mother and changed my entire world. 5 years after that, Nia sat in Brew and Soul Cafe, the same cafe where it had all started, watching her daughter color at a nearby table. Minjai, named after the bodyguard who died protecting Nia, was 4 years old, with her father's eyes and her mother's smile and a personality that suggested she'd rule the world someday. Mrs. Han sat beside her granddaughter, speaking to her in Korean, teaching her words and songs and stories. The old woman was 77 now, but still sharp, still visiting this cafe every Tuesday and Friday, still ordering green tea and honey cake. She's so much like you, Jamie said, sliding into the seat across from Nia. Her friend still worked at the cafe, now as manager, and they maintained their standing coffee date. Bossy and fearless. She gets the bossy from both sides, but yeah, she's something special. Nia sipped her coffee, decaf, because she was 6 months pregnant with their second child. Sometimes I can't believe this is my life, that I went from serving coffee to all of this. You earned it. You defended an old lady when no one else would, and it changed everything. Nia thought back to that day. The shattered coffee cup, Madison's sneering face, the decision to step in when everyone else looked away. One choice, one moment of courage, and her entire life had transformed. The door opened and Jae-sung walked in, now 33, still devastatingly handsome, his neck tattoo visible above his collar. He'd largely gone legitimate. The criminal operations were mostly history now, replaced by real businesses and real investments. But he still carried himself with that quiet authority that made people step aside. Minjai saw him and shrieked, "Appa!" launching herself across the cafe into his arms. He caught her easily, lifting her high as she giggled. Mrs. Han watched with undisguised joy, and Nia felt her heart expand impossibly larger. Jae-sung carried their daughter over, setting her down before pulling Nia into a kiss that was entirely inappropriate for a public cafe. "Missed you," he murmured against her lips. "You saw me 3 hours ago. And I missed you for all 3 of those hours." Jamie made gagging noises. "You two are disgusting. 5 years married and still acting like newlyweds." "Jealousy is unbecoming," Jae-sung said mildly, but he was smiling. They sat together, Nia, Jae-sung, Min-jae, Mrs. Han, and Jamie, at a corner table in the cafe where it had all begun. Around them, life continued. Customers ordered coffee. Baristas called out drinks. The world kept spinning. But in this moment, Nia felt perfect peace. She'd found her family in the most unexpected way, had learned that sometimes defending a stranger could lead to defending your heart. That courage could bloom in the smallest moments and change everything that followed. "What are you thinking about?" Jae-sung asked, signing along with his words. A habit he developed, making sure she was always included even in the chaos of conversation. "That day, when I defended your mother, when you asked if I was okay." Nia took his hand. "I was so broken then, fresh off being dumped, convinced I'd never find anyone who'd see me as more than the girl who served their coffee. And now I'm married to a man who learned sign language for me, who killed for me, who sees me as everything. I have a daughter who'll never doubt she's loved, another baby on the way, a career I'm proud of, and a mother-in-law who loves me despite the fact that I'm not Korean. Because of the fact," Mrs. Han corrected in careful English, reaching over to squeeze Nia's hand. "You perfect for my son. You make him human again." Jae-sung's eyes shone with emotion. "She's right. Before you, I was just going through motions. Running an empire, honoring my father, existing but not really living. And then you defended Ioma, and everything clicked into place." "So what you're saying is I should get a commission for matchmaking," Jamie interjected. "Since I'm the one who warned you he was dangerous," which clearly didn't work. Everyone laughed and Min-jae demanded to know what was funny, and Mrs. Han started telling a story in Korean that Nia mostly understood now. The moment was chaos and love and family all tangled together. Later, after they'd left the cafe, after Min-jae was in bed and Mrs. Han had gone home, Nia and Jae-sung stood on their penthouse balcony looking out over the city. Los Angeles spread before them like scattered diamonds, beautiful and dangerous and home. "Do you ever regret it?" Nia asked. "Falling for me? All the complications I brought into your life?" "Never. Not for a single second." He pulled her close, one hand resting on her swollen belly where their son grew. "You gave me everything, Nia. Purpose beyond duty, love beyond obligation, a reason to become better than I was. You gave me the same, showed me I deserved more than settling, that my courage mattered, that defending one person could change my entire world." They stood together in the darkness, two people from different worlds who'd built a bridge between them, a waitress who'd stood up to an influencer, a mob boss who'd fallen for her courage. Together, they'd survived kidnappings and war and cultural expectations, and the simple, complicated work of building a life together. "I love you," Jae-sung signed, his hands visible in the city lights. "I love you too," Nia signed back, her fluency hard-won, but perfect. "My dangerous, impossible, wonderful man." Their daughter called out from her bedroom, a nightmare probably, or just wanting attention, and they went together as they did everything now. Partners, equals. Two people who'd found each other across impossible odds and refused to let go. In the end, Naya thought, it all came down to that one moment, that one choice, defending a stranger when everyone else looked away, standing up when it would have been easier to stay silent, being brave when being safe was the simpler option. One moment of courage and everything changed. One old lady defended in a cafe, and a love story began that would span decades, survive violence, cross cultures, and prove that sometimes the most unlikely connections are the ones that transform us completely. And as Nia comforted her daughter, with Jae Sung's arm around her waist and their second child growing inside her, she understood something fundamental. Courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was acting despite fear. It was defending someone who needed help. It was opening your heart even when you'd been hurt before. It was saying yes to a dangerous man with a neck tattoo and a criminal empire, because behind all that danger was a son who loved his mother, an art collector who saw beauty in the world, a man who'd learned sign language just to communicate more completely. "Thank you," she whispered to Jae Sung as they tucked Min Jae back in. "For what?" "For seeing me, for choosing me, for building this life with me. Thank you for defending my mother, for being brave enough to stand up, for giving me everything I didn't know I needed." They returned to their bedroom, to the life they'd built together, to the future stretching before them, filled with children and art and love, and all the beautiful complications that came from two worlds colliding. And somewhere in Koreatown, in a small cafe called Brew and Soul, an old Korean woman named Han Unji would return on Tuesday and Friday to drink her green tea and eat her honey cake and smile, knowing that her son had found what she'd always wanted for him, someone who loved him not for his power or his money, but for the man he was when all the armor came off. Someone who defended her when no one else would. Someone brave, someone perfect. And that made all the difference.